I mean, this is going to make E.T. look like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm saying?
What is Pops doing?
Caution everyone to watch out for pies.
At this point, anything is possible, so yes, pies, seltzer bottles, balloon animals, be alert.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Subverting expectations.
It's just clearly fan fiction.
But Loki, it wouldn't have been as exciting for the audience.
Boy, do I have a surprise for you.
I have to get Loki's deep voice going. Greetings and salutations.
Good afternoon!
And I am Pops, and it's time to talk hard.
And I'm here.
And there's Ironcaster too. Oh, it's great. I just like having fun with that part, actually, to be honest. Well, hey, everybody. Greetings, salutations. Thanks. Welcome to Talk Hard. I am Pops, and with me is Stone Loki and Ironcaster. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are doing well.
Oh, yeah.
Let's rock and roll into one of the best sci-fi fantasy films of all time tonight. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Ironcaster, anything new going on in the old world? I love the bridge behind you there, ready to run communications or navigations or weapons. I'm not sure. So
I may have slightly upgraded my the hangar here. So, you know, which was always great when I have to do homework like watch Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Like, come on, you punish me with this stuff. Like, seriously.
Oh, it's not punishment at all. It's great. It's like rewarding you. It's like rewarding you for a job's well done. So let's see. Hail to the wrench. He is the mod, the Pops mod. Chris Persia, thank you so much, my brother, for helping us out and being here with us tonight, as always. My brother from another mother, Dave Rudin. Thank you, Dave. It's awesome to see you in here, man, hanging out with us. And you guys are doing wonderful things by just supporting us. And then Ryan, of course, Ryan, the Mr. Dr. Professor. How are you, my friend? Here you are. Joker voice. All right, brother. What's up with you? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully things are going all right. Let's get our Star Trek on tonight and go from there. So just such a great film. Before we got to the film, I didn't know, you guys want to open up with like any special memories or associations with the film that you'd like to share before we get into it? Loki?
So I do not remember seeing this movie in theater. I know I saw Search for Spock, and that was either like shortly after we moved to Texas or right before. I can't remember. I do remember seeing that in theater, but I don't remember seeing this in theater. I always knew though that this was my favorite Star Trek movie. It still holds its own today. I can't wait to see the 4K. It's just, man, it's Star Trek. And that scene at the end of the movie, I have been and always, every guy, that's ever watched Star Trek that loves Star Trek's in tears because it's Kirk and Spock, man. And I have been and always shall be your friend. And yeah, it's a kick-ass movie. This is what happens when you delve into an IP and you learn everything you can about it and then make a movie about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nick Myers, freaking boss, man. This movie's awesome. So, Ironcaster, what about you?
So I didn't get into Star Trek until later. I would say probably mid 2000s, around the time G4 was airing Star Trek on Marathon, when they were like running out of cops marathons and Campus PD. And so that was my entry into Star Trek. It was always something that as a kid I was always like quick to turn off because it wasn't The Simpsons. I just wanted to watch cartoons growing up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So my mom was a Trekkie. Yeah, go ahead.
And I am so glad that I did finally give, the stuff a chance later on in life, because it is so much better than, little Ironcaster thought.
Awesome. Joker Voice says he vaguely remembers seeing it in theaters. So my mom was the Trekkie. I think I've talked about it a few times in different places, so I'll repeat myself here. She took us to Star Trek Motion Picture. Had to see that every afternoon. It post cartoons. Usually had time to go outside and play, but at 5 o'clock, OG was on, man. So TOG was on. TOS, sorry, original series was on. And when that one finished, obviously they made such a massive success that they went ahead and announced this film. And Nimoy, of course, didn't really want to do it. And it leaked out, and I had to double check this to make sure. Somebody asked me about this when I mentioned it before, in that it leaked out that Spock was going to die. And I looked it up. It happened in London. So I guess maybe there was a Comic-Con or something. But anyway, the script leaked out that Spock died very early in the film. And then gradually, because of that leak, they kept doing rewrites, and they kept moving his death further and further back in the film. And I guess he approved because he was getting every single script update. He never objected. So they just basically ended up with him for the whole movie. But anyway, so that said, Mom took us day one because she figured if Spock died, she already knew that. She didn't want to know that, but she did. She took us day one. I think it was just me and my brother. My sister would have been too young. And I remember crying in the theater, just weeping, just like, oh, Spock's dead, man. And they kind of get you early on because of the whole, Kobayashi Maru thing where he's there dead. Are you dead? Aren't you dead? So you kind of think, oh, okay, they kind of got us. But anyway, so it's great to have you guys here. It is by far the best. It's the one that I love rewatching the most. Not a big Trekkie compared to Star Wars. So my dad's a Trekkie Star Wars fan. Thanks to my dad. He took us to opening day in 77. That must be to the original Star Wars film, right? So my mom's still a little salty. Oh, that's right, May 25th. Yeah, that was a Star Wars experience. So, it was a good experience. So, well, then let's just jump right to it a little bit. So, I mentioned it briefly. We'll go over here. We'll drop this down like that. And obviously the opening sequence is just so superb because you're kind of immersed immediately into their universe. You don't quite exactly at first know what's going on as far as being a simulation or not. It's the Kobayashi Maru, which has now become like a fun reference for sci-fi fans, not just Trekkies. I think it's really kind of a cool thing. People mention the, no-win scenarios, and it plays out with Kirstie Alley. And look, I want to make sure I got this right. I think she is considered half Romulan, half Vulcan, right?
Yes, she's half Romulan, half Vulcan. Originally, she was the daughter of Spock and the Romulan commander that they captured in the original series.
That's why she shows emotion in this film. Like she shows emotion 2 or 3 times. That is kind of unorthodox for a Vulcan, but it would be okay for maybe, a half Vulcan or something like that. So making sure, I know a little thing. I know a couple things. I don't know very many. I'm not going to hang my hat on the same areas you guys do, but love this sequence. Go ahead.
One of the things that really stood out to me in the opening is the advancements in technology you're getting. You're getting to see like the 3D ship models as they're as they're going about and doing the simulation, to where it seems at first this is a straight up actual mission out in space, and you're getting to see that the technology of the ship has been approved. Like this is where the budget of a movie is able to go.
Right, that's true. No, I mean major upgrades. They made a lot of money, and of course, this is one of my favorite moments. Is like, what about my performance? And when I rewatch it every time, when they have the the simulation has these explosions and everyone's dying, man, He does deliver, man. Bones takes a tumble, man. He flies backwards. I got to give him some credit, man. It wasn't like, he's not exaggerating in his little joke here. So it's good. I love the fact that we can have decent humor that doesn't disrupt the flow. Obviously, we were over-analyzing Halo, and it was easy because their script is such garbage, and nothing would flow. They would have these attempts at humor that would totally interrupt the scene. But I just look, you look down at the clock and you just realize how much was being put in each little scene and each little sequence. So Kobayashi murder, does it come up? It comes up in other films and stuff too, right, guys? Didn't we mention it several times? Isn't that the code name for, isn't that Search for Spock? They use it as the code to get the other ship to sneak out to go look for him and stuff. And
the Kobayashi Maru is ready to set sail for the promised land. Yes, they use that as code to keep everyone else from knowing that they're going to go out and do what they're going to do. Yeah,
right. Ironcaster, anything else?
Oh, I was just going to say that, the scene doesn't have to do a ton necessarily to establish who all the characters are, because you have the benefit of having 60-something episodes to help build these characters up. They are these cultural icons. They don't need to sit down and explain, who Sulu is. It's like you already go in knowing, but that.
And we revisited these things in the previous movie, so we've had kind of an update, at least a little bit to it. So,
right. Well, even with that, it's the kind of movie that you can go in not being a Star Trek fan, and you could still appreciate.
No, I agree. And you also could just not have watched the motion picture and just jump right in. Just go, okay, well, he's an admiral now. Like, you really don't lose a whole lot, because I think there's such a massive upgrade in this, because Nicholas Meyer really wanted more of like the military insignias, the whistle, little things like that were added that weren't in what I think Roddenberry kind of had envisioned up until this point. And it kind of went through like a transformation at this point. Look at these shots, like this scene. And then the next thing, we're in like Kirk's room. The location and stuff was very interesting too. Ironcaster like messaged me about like, I feel like I'm in Fraser's apartment. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think? It was kind of an interesting choice the way they kind of did all of this, as far as giving you like the personal background, but also like giving them like behind the scenes of what their lives would be like in real life. Did I lose Loki? Did I mute him? No, I don't think I did.
Oh, no, I'm here. It's just Ironcaster looked like he was about to say something, and I didn't want to interrupt him.
But it didn't seem like it was. It was kind of getting distracted from what you were saying, Pops. I had a totally other thought that I was kind of picking up on from the movie.
Spock mentioned something when he's given Kirk his birthday present. He mentioned, "I know your fondness for antiques," and then you get to look at his house, and it's almost entirely antiques. He's got antique stuff everywhere, and that kind of, to me, that always was. Kirk doesn't live in the now. He's not like other Starfleet officers. He's a cowboy. He's always been a cowboy. You look at the guns on his wall. You look at, the stuff he's got up on his walls. He's not like normal Starfleet captains. He is a cowboy. From the very beginning, even on TOS, he was a cowboy.
Yeah, really like it.
I think also, this is a good way to kind of help reflect. There's a bit of a mirroring throughout the film, where you come in on a Kirk here who's he feels very old. He's surrounded by all these relics of the past. He feels kind of, he's longing for the earlier days where he was just that captain, and he's not anymore. And I think that goes really well to then parallel with the end of the movie with where he winds up.
No, it's true. The film is such a great journey for Kirk to find value and meaning, right? He just feels like the old washed up soldier. He served his time. He's more like going to be a desk jockey now. And everyone around him is encouraging. Everyone around him is like, the biggest mistake you ever made was giving up the chair. So, I think that Joker's agreeing with you, Ironcaster, too, as well. It's like, this is probably one of the best small screen to big screen transitions because of the cast. Like they did such a great job of just moving almost seamlessly. So go ahead.
Oh, I forget what I was gonna say exactly, but I had to bring my own Romulan ale.
Yes, he's all hooked up. War Monkey, hail. Just rewatched 2, 3, and 4, like for the millionth time a few weeks ago. Still amazing stories to this day. I love them so much. Like there's this great trilogy for the death and search and rise of Spock, the return of Spock, so to speak. So yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, that's what originally came out on Blu-ray. If I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that the trilogy is what it was called, came out on Blu-ray first, and then you got the bigger pack that had the motion picture, Final Frontier, and Undiscovered Country in it later.
Okay,
I still remember that as well. So I
don't know about that on DVD, but I'm pretty sure when it came out on Blu-ray, it was the Star Trek trilogy, and then they expanded it.
Well, when I went to rewatch it on physical this weekend, I have like more Wrath of Khan discs than I have probably. I mean, I have like 5 sets. There are all these discs everywhere. I'm like, what on earth do I own? I kind of had to look a little closer of DVD copies and Blu-ray copies and behind the scenes stuff. And I don't. I have all sorts of nonsense. So I would not be a good resource on this. I just have acquired Star Trek stuff that I need to spend some time. So. I think Loki might be onto something. When you recall that Gene originally pitched Star Wars as a wagon train to the stars. Yes. It's great adventure stuff. So yeah, it moves pretty quickly through, this whole intro of where we are on things since the last movie, as far as the cast, how Kirk is feeling aged. He wants, he really kind of misses the chair, and everyone wants to know what to do about his birthday. Then we cut out to space. We end up on Regular One, where we meet Carol Marcus and her son David, and we learn a little bit about the Genesis. And I feel like we missed Khan. Did we miss Khan? No, Khan's after this, right? Yes. All right. So that's kind of how we set up, and it just moves so fast. Literally, like we're like 15 minutes in, and all of that's taking place before we get to the amazing exploration and where they discover Khan and Ty. And I love the fact that the creators had talked about how they comb through all these episodes of the original series looking for something that would be a sequel. Like you talk about just fan love. Like when you hear that, Loki, isn't that like what you just dream of in today's society? Can we just find someone who really would want to just do that? Just give me something like that.
They don't even do it on TV now. They don't even do this. They don't. It's like you've got TV shows where they have no idea. They don't want to experience what came before it. They don't want to draw inspiration from that. They just want to do their own thing. And the fact that Nicholas Meyer sat down and watched every single episode of Star Trek. I mean, he like barricaded himself in a hotel room. He had him bringing him room service. He did nothing but sit there with a projector and watched the original episodes, and then said, "We're doing Wrath of Khan. We're going to do a Khan movie. We're going to do a sequel to Space Seed, where Khan comes back and tries to get his revenge on Kirk, and everyone's going to effing love it." And they did it.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows the impact of sci-fi for us kids, I would have been 11 when this came out, 'cause I believe it came out in June. It's the 40th anniversary this month, so I didn't turn 12 until July. When this was out, I went back and rewatched, because it took a while for it to come out on VHS so I could see. So I always wondered what the books were, and it got me to read all of those books. So because of this film, I read them all. Now, I haven't read Moby Dick again, I haven't read King Lear again, but reality was I read them all in high school, middle school and high school. It's like I got to read them all. So eventually I did.
Is that multiple copies of Paradise Lost?
Yep. There's one brown one and one.
This one, and then there's one right here. Yeah. This one is the Milton's like the double, so it's Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. So, yeah, pretty awesome, huh? It's so cool, man. Again, I'm such a nerd for set design and details and things like that. That this scene, it's just so rich. And then, of course, we, I hate having to watch them this way because it makes it difficult to navigate. Botany Bay.
Oh no, we've got to get out of here. Damn.
Yep. Racing around and all of that. And they see people in the storm. Communications broken down. They can't get a hold of them. Then we cut back, and then we meet. Oh, what a performance! What a performance! I mean, it was such a crazy thing that to read how they did the script, and they just assumed he would do the part, and there's all these conflicts with Fantasy Island. They got it worked out, so it's not like he knew this wasn't something. He just loved the script, and he is like, oh man, are you still shocked that actors don't take it as serious? Like, he just took this so seriously. It's his chest. You think people still think it's fake? I don't know. Do you guys?
Oh yeah. They still think it's fake. Yeah, there's still people out there that are like, nah.
It is not fake. That dude he was all about it, man. It was an ego thing. I gotta look this good. I want to look this good. I'm gonna get to the ladies. This is one of the first movies I have ever seen in the theater. I don't remember anything except the theater was super crowded and the earbug scene. Yes, and that freaked me out as a kid. It freaked everyone out. There were people who, I guess there was an edit to that scene. Do you guys know the story about the bug? I don't know the whole story. I guess it was a longer version or a different version. They kind of trimmed it.
No, I don't know anything about the edit to it.
Anyway, I kind of got a picture somewhere of the giant ear and them holding the fake worm. It was like a really cool special effect back then. I paused on that scene to look at this bookshelf before. Yes, thank you for joining me in that nerdiness. I appreciate that. So, and then after a busy day, I have not made any videos today, but tomorrow I will be releasing at least 8 videos. Look at
the man is a machine. He's a machine.
Beast.
Keeps churning them out.
Yes, War Monkey doing the Fantasy Island reference of
Get
the
paid.
plane.
The plane, boss, the plane. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Awesome.
Those 2 lines have fallen into the cultural zeitgeist, and people who've never seen Fantasy Island, they know those lines.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff from that era where we've gotten to the point now where the people are too young to even know where some of this stuff came from. So yeah, it kind of feels weird as I'm getting older. That's more and more common, sadly enough. So, yeah. So, I mean, any other thoughts on this scene? It's just true brilliance. It's all that scene is. That's just all there is to it. It's just true brilliance. Just the way his cadence changes when he hears about, quote, Admiral Kirk. Look at the dramatic taking off of the cloak to show off his chest before he pulls out the little earworms.
When he does that, and he talks about how they killed 20 of his people, including his wife. Yet later in the movie, he's pretty much blaming Kirk for the death of Lieutenant MacGyver's. So it's like he knows what he did. He was like, you insolent cow, and he put this thing in her ear to get her to do what he said, and it eventually killed her. But he still blames Kirk for it.
And then this dramatic placement of putting them in the helmets, and the helmet's going to go on. It's like the audience is just like, first off, we're weirded out over the worm. And then it's like this long, drawn out, suspenseful thing, almost like a horror film. Like you know it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But we get this part first, lands on their cheek.
Finally, they go to put the helmet on, and you see the worms fall right on their faces.
Mm. Yep, it is just really tremendous stuff. Look at it, just crawling in. Look at that. How good that looks for a real effect. That's awesome.
That's Leonard Nimoy's ear.
Leonard Nimoy's ear?
Yep, that's one of the they based that on the prosthetic they used for his ears. So they already had the mold. So they just made that out of the mold of Leonard Nimoy's ear.
That's so freaking cool. It looks so good too. I wish crappy special effects in some of these shows and stuff now, and it's like to think that they were able to pull this off in essentially 1981, like when it was made. It's just incredible. So, let's see. I remember being a little confused on why Chekhov was not on the Enterprise. Yeah, they don't address. They just keep moving. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Well, I mean, with with the Wrath of Khan, like, yes, that's always the obvious issue that's always been kind of pointed to, is that Chekhov wasn't on the Enterprise at the time of the filming, or of the Space Seed. But I feel like that just goes to show you that this is still, that even with issues like that, it can still hold up. Like, just because a movie gets nitpicked doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
No, I think there's a lot of, and there's also there's some contrivances, like when you get into some moments in the film that are just sort of like contrived to move the story along, or you could kind of look at it that way. So, Chris Persia, I thought I read that Ricardo actually had weights at the studio and would bench press every day before shooting to make sure he was at peak peck performance. Peak peck performance is hard to say. Did you guys hear that? I don't know. I would not be shocked.
Oh yeah, he welcomed every day. He welcomed women on the set too. He was like, "Welcome, ladies. I'm Ricardo Montalban, and yes, this is my chest."
He's a freaking beast. And Ironcaster, Joker Voice, is now checking out your stuff. He did a great stream this weekend, so make sure you check that out.
Thank you.
So, all Gundam. All right. Anything else?
Got about 4 more episodes of that to go.
Let's see. Man, chat just flying by. Oh, I do remember being confused. That was, we read that one. Gap Stargate's here. Hey, Gap. Awesome.
What's up, Gap?
Gap.
Dial home.
In the house. Yeah, some back and forth here. The film is, Ryan says the film is incredible. If released today, it would be like pure platinum. Yeah, it doesn't need to be released today because it's just gold the way it is.
It would be worth its weight in latinum.
Worth weight in latinum. All right, so then the story moves pretty quickly, where we cut back to Kirk arriving on the Enterprise, visiting this brand new crew. There's the whistle and the military elements. A couple jokes. I like the fact that there's a little nuances about Scotty having a little bout of shore leave, and Savik finding Kirk human. I thought it was kind of fun.
Nobody's perfect.
I always found it's like we never got a lot of the Vulcan language, which I feel like makes it really stand out in the few instances where we did get to hear Vulcan. Because you compare that with the Next Generation got very heavy into Klingon, to the point where people were just like full on learning the language as in full.
Well, you got a little bit of Vulcan in 1. You got a little bit of Vulcan in this, a little bit of Vulcan in 3, and you got some Vulcan in TNG. But yeah, besides that, you really didn't get that much. You got them speaking English in the original series. They weren't speaking Vulcan.
That's true. Okay, cool. It was really a big deal being around people that were really into Trek and that would talk Klingon. Like, it was like a thing. It was just kind of not being into Trek as much. It was kind of a strange thing. That was one of the early things that set Star Trek fans aside from other genres and stuff like that. So this was the photo I found of the giant ear. So he's holding a little worm. There's the giant ear, a prosthetic, and they would run it down into the ear like that.
He's got a big finger.
Yeah, he's got big hands. Yeah, big gloves. That's what they say, right? Something like that.
And a big ear.
He's playing with a big ear. Imagine being that. Like, what do you do on track? What do you got to do on track? Oh, I'm in charge of the ear. I'm in charge of the ear. Joker Voice is talking about some of the military elements of the film and the new orders and assignments. Thanks. They didn't make much about Chekhov, so it's pretty awesome. Dave Bob in the house. Thank you, bro. Thank you for hopping in here and hanging out with us, talking some Trek. So that's cool.
What's up, Brewster?
And War Monkey. I actually building up my platinum during the event in the Star Trek Fleet Command game now. Oh, all right. Cool. Very, very cool. Star Trek II Wrath of Khan Funko Pop exclusive 40th anniversary limited edition bundle. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So, all right, that's pretty cool if that's out there already. So good stuff. So let me get back over here to our film. Any other thoughts where we're at now? It's like, got to be honest, so much has happened and we're only like a half hour into things. Like, it's just This movie is so good as far as the screenplay goes, and the dialogue is just all so good. Character, like I said, we just care about. This is our first introduction to, isn't it Pete Preston, the little ensign that works in engineering? Is that correct? I get the name right?
I mean, I was
Scotty's nephew.
Yeah.
I was thinking more so about just getting those first shots of seeing the Enterprise.
Yeah, you're a ship whore like me, aren't you, Ironcaster?
It's beautiful. Like, how can that's the time they stop to go and admire her and show her off from all these different angles. How can you not love it?
Yep. Yeah, it's freaking great. I have to be honest. As I get older, I'm enjoying that too, especially because I know they use actual models and stuff. And sorry guys, I'm buffering. It'll figure itself out in a minute, so we'll have to just kind of chat away at it. So it moves pretty quickly through that. We get through nice. We get to meet some of the newbies, and then of course Spock pulls the audible at the last minute, lets Saavik take him out. It creates this little tension, but we don't like derail the whole scene, and then we get some ship porn for Loki and Ironcaster and others. And as I get older, I do enjoy it more and more. You know what I really fell in love with it was I rewatched Alien a couple years ago, the original.
Oh.
And all of that is where I'm like, man, these models, these ships. I just kind of like a spiral down that road of just really a greater appreciation as these different films. I revisit these other films.
When I saw that, go ahead, Ironcaster.
In Alien in particular, it's my favorite things are just the sets themselves, the way that the ship looks so lived in. It's kind of dirty and dingy and more like kind of what you would expect it out of the Millennium Falcon.
And seeing that in 4K, like, because I got to go see the anniversary. I got like an Alien Tiki mug when I went to see that too. I went and saw it at Alamo, but I saw the 4K anniversary of Alien, and I mean, I'm just like completely blown away watching that on the big screen in 4K. I got to see that twice. I got to see it once in Missouri, and then I got to see it again here in Houston. And it's just, man, it's a different movie in 4K on the big screen. It's a different movie. I don't even mind that the stuff that's in the director's cut isn't in there. I don't even mind that I'm watching the theatrical cut because it looks so damn good on the big screen.
I know we can't play much, but I'll just give you a couple seconds. God, it's so good, isn't it? I know Loki's all excited now.
Yeah,
it is pretty awesome. I mean, yeah,
someone said they liked the round nacelles. Dude, I love the TOS version. When I saw the TOS version on Trials and Tribulations for the first time, that digital model, I fell back in love with the original series model, and I still love the movie model. Both of those are just absolutely wonderful.
Dave, I'll point out this is the NCC 1701 pre-refit. Yes. Showing my bias here, Joker says, I'm a fan of Star Wars ship design way more than Trek. Don't hate me. We won't hate on you too much. Can't promise zero hate, but you might not, you know. The refit is okay, but I like the round. Yeah, that's what you're saying there. So Pacific 414 hopping in. Awesome, man. Hey, thanks for hopping in there, Mike. And listen, 414 is going to be with me tomorrow night. We're going to do a little Pops Talk, News Talk kind of thing tomorrow night. So feel free to, if you're free, hop back with us tomorrow. We'll talk about a couple things. And so then we get to take the Enterprise out. It's just a good time, man. We get to head out to space. We're going to head out to Regular One. And we get to, kind of cut through some different things. And let's see. Let's get to where we want to go.
That scene with Bones, before you get too far away from that scene where Bones asks Kirk if he wants a tranquilizer, I freaking love that because Spock's going to let her take the ship out. And the way Kirk just shrugs it off, he's like, no, because he wants to experience this. Even though he's not in the captain's chair, he wants to experience the Enterprise going out of space talk.
Yeah, I wish I can get ahead. It won't let me jump. It's showing me the right spot, but it won't jump right to it. So let me see if I can just get it to go just a little bit further and keep going. But look how much that is. It really is just amazing stuff when you think about 1981. And then you think about where we're at now with some of the garbage that's being produced. This is done with models.
They would have just made one high quality. They would have just made one high quality ship model, and then just copy and pasted it.
That's going to look
With
incredible in the 4K thing, right? Really,
Oh yeah, because it'll all be redone. All the special effects are going to get redone.
So then go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, I thought I heard somewhere that they were like finding some of the old like original like negatives and the stuff they used for making the actual special effects for this.
Wow, if they actually did, I would be completely blown away. Because all they would have to do is run that into they could 8K that. They could 8K that, and there's your movies for the next 2 decades.
I might be thinking of the first movie.
I think they're going to have a similar approach. I think they're going to have a similar approach to this one, but I got a feeling that this one is probably better preserved and restored than the other stuff was. That's all, because this was such a bigger film.
Well, see, I'm thinking of something Robert Meyer Burnett was saying a couple of months back, and I think it might have actually been for the first one, not The Wrath of Khan. So I was getting them mixed up.
Yeah. Stephen Ransom is talking about the model kits of these models is what got him into modeling. Yeah, absolutely. And Dave Bob's talking about Kirstie Alley being hot. Yeah, Kirstie Alley was hot. And let's see. The reveal of the Executor class Star Destroyer ENSB. Yeah, well, I mean, I understand. I'm with you too. I enjoyed that. Millennium Falcon was a big deal for me. That's still the one for me. I'm just, a lot of sound design love and that kind of thing. Storm moves great because we get into what is Genesis, what's the plot of the movie going to be. I love the characters are finding out, and they do it in a manner that is believable for us to learn what's going on as they're learning. So we didn't have to have exposition about it. We didn't have to have 2 versions of the story kind of play out. This is him taking control of the ship because of the broken up mess with Carol. And then we cut to Khan and his crew, and they're basically just debating why go after all of them. You don't need to. And then we cut back, and it's announced that he's going to take control of the ship.
Did you ever get the feeling that when Kirk is talking to Spock, he almost doesn't want to have that conversation he had with Decker in the motion picture because he's very apologetic, and Spock's like, you don't have to be like that. I have no ego to bruise. You don't have to worry about me taking it personally. The ship is yours. But Kirk's almost like apologizing that he's going to have to take command. And you get, to me, I always got that feeling. It's almost like he's talking to Decker again, but Spock's not Decker, and Spock's telling him, don't worry about it. I am your friend. I'm a Vulcan. I have no ego to bruise. Just take the ship. You need to be in command.
Yeah, I think it plants the seed for later in the movie, right? With the self-sacrifice. Like, you start to see just Spock's dedication and loyalty is so deep and sort of underestimated in the grand scheme of the franchise. Like, that's not one of the stronger suits you would have thought of when you thought of Spock being Mr. Logic and science and, being a warrior and being at Kirk's side. Now it's like, oh, no, it runs much deeper than this. Like, you could really, it's defining the friendship in a very tangible way. And I think that, again, it's just a great writing. It's just brilliantly done. So
for all the adventures they've been on, for all the times they've saved one another's lives, they formed a brotherly bond that is beyond words, and you believe it.
Yeah, I agree. It's so good, and I want to try to make sure I try not to get a copyright strike. So I guess we'll see what happens as we kind of move forward here a little bit, because I want to get to the one spot, because you guys know what I want to hear.
We have a ship.
He tasks me.
Ah, yes.
And defeated the plans of Admiral Kirk.
Yes. Say it. We're going to say it. We're going to do it. We got to have a little pause.
You do not need to defeat him again. He tasks me. And I shall have him.
That's so good. It's such a great... The writer of his dialogue and how his character is developed in this film is just... It's just really, really incredible. It is really, really superior stuff.
Well, the idea...
I get more and more appreciation for it.
That idea that he is Ahab Khan is Ahab going after his Moby Dick, and Kirk is Moby Dick, and Khan wants him, and that's that whole scene at the end of the movie where he talks about shooting the oh my God, the quote from Moby Dick doesn't say shoot his heart upon him, but I spit my last breath at thee. That is exactly what Ahab.
I spit at thee.
Yes, I stab at thee. I spit my last breath at thee. That's Ahab's last words to the whale.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Moby Dick's there in the library. Yeah. So yeah. So this is where we get the fact that, and we do set this up, right? We started to set up the internal conflict with his, first in command. We also see the first signs of how obsessed Khan is. Like we start to kind of get a little flavor of that. I think again we do a lot of great setup and payoff, which other films and other things don't do. And this was a scene I got a little ahead. Yeah.
Dave Bob threw that quote out there, that full quote I was talking about.
Oh, yeah. Let's go back here. Make sure we got it. Yes, there it is. You want to read it because you're onto the. My voice is shot, so you got to do it, man.
Oh, yeah. I read it. Yeah. Towards thee I roll, thou all destroying but unconquering will. To the last I grapple with thee. From the hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. Yes. Dun 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 dun.
Yes.
Bravo.
From hell's heart I stab at thee. There should be shirts of this kind of stuff. Do we have other shirts that say these kinds of things?
I doubt it.
Buried alive. It's the only
Pop
line I
says,
need.
Tell us about the naval novels that inspired this script. I don't know, so I'd have to defer to Loki. I don't know. That seems like in the whole inside Trek baseball stuff for me.
There are a lot of World War II, novels that inspired the battles with the Reliant and the Enterprise. And Gene did not want that. Gene said this is not how starships fight. They cruise at warp, and they kind of take pot shots at each other at warp, and they fly by each other real fast. It's not a knife fight, an enclosed knife fight like this. But because of this, we're going to get cool shit in TNG. We're going to get cool shit in DS9. We're going to get all these cool battle scenes where we see them played out like this, all because of this movie. So Gene could not like it. Gene could be like all he wants to. This inspired generations of badass Star Trek battles. Sorry, Pops.
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer deserves so much credit for infusing this sort of like military aspects into the Trek universe, because Roddenberry was not. He's very anti-war. And like I said, he brought back, he instituted insignias, the whistle, there's other little references and innuendos that are added. And then, of course, like you said, he changed the entire structure to allow for this very intense, slow, methodical battle, especially the second one. It really, really is fascinating. And I know that, and I kind of misunderstood what Stephen Ransom was getting at there with the naval novels. I just know the military influence at a very high level and how much of this basically changed Trek lore moving forward. Like it really, really did. So a lot of that. People are just talking about how much they love this movie. Undiscovered Country #2 for Mike. Submarine warfare in space. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
The end of this movie is very, very much submarine warfare in space.
Horatio Hornblower spell, yeah, okay. Very much the U-boat destroyer, Esquire, yeah, okay, yeah. And Claude's here. Hey, Claude, thanks for hopping in, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. So this is really something that gets kind of missed over, because I myself love Tron, and Tron is obviously this big CGI film or whatever, but this is the first footage that actually makes it to theaters, is this little graphic here. This is our first little CGI clip that actually makes it to theaters. So 1982, man, it is the best year in film. You can put up your dukes with all your other stuff, but you have to talk about some of the revolutionary technological stuff that happened. It's not like it's one film because of Star Wars. This is back when they played nice together. This was early Lucasfilm, ILM type stuff that was done for Paramount, a competitor. So yeah, it's the first time that stuff makes it into a theater.
What if this thing we use?
And I talk about this scene a lot. I think I did a sermon for the youth once on this scene where I talked about creation and the idea of man getting so powerful they would just take control of creation, and got people thinking about, how can it be weaponized and that kind of thing, because it's such a great premise to a film. Like it's such an interesting motivator, because you don't really know what Khan wants to do when he takes Genesis. He just knows it's this super powerful weapon type thing. He just knows he has it. But then as the film goes, because you've been told how it can be used negatively, when it is, you're always kind of on edge of what will Khan do. I thought this was really great, because almost like they don't, I don't know, what do you think, Look, am I overanalyzed? I thought that was really just kind of a nice way of handling it without, spoon feeding some sort of weird cliche use.
Imagine Khan pulling up to Earth in the Reliant, launching Genesis, wiping out everything on the Earth, because that's exactly what it would do. Sure. And then saying, all right, we've got our planet back and it's ours, and starting over from scratch with him as the ruler. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like they didn't have to spell it out for us. They just dropped little pieces. We can pick it up. We can be a smart audience. So Salacious Rum is here as well. Hey, buddy. Reminds me of Das Boot. Yes, Das Boot. Yes. Hunt for the Red October. Yes. Yes. Well, that'd be a good movie for us to do. God, oh, hell yeah. That script. Ooh, that script is freaking great. And again, folks, we're only 45 minutes. We've basically done a whole movie. If we just had a battle scene, it's just so good. So this is the sort of underrated element of the film, is the first conflict. I don't know about how you feel about Loki. Correct me where you think it's. Oh, I love it. I think there's such an because we all love the end. We all love the Nebula scene and all that. That's fine. But there's something that's very underrated about this when they kind of, one's coming in, crippling the other, then the code, and just all of these elements. I think this is very underrated in the middle of this film. Very underrated. It shows again, because Spock brings up that he could have changed the code. He's like, he could have changed the code. He's very intelligent. But Khan's in such a rush to get his vengeance. He doesn't think about any of that. He just wants Kirk to pay. So he's rushed off to fight Kirk without thinking, well, they've got these command codes that can override everything and lower our shields. Khan knows this. He read all the tactical manuals for the Enterprise. He knows exactly where to hit her. He knows exactly how to hit her. Even after the refit, he knows her most vulnerable points. Khan's not a moron, yet he is rushed to do this. And it again goes to show this vengeance that he has to enact on Kirk, that he's not taking his time and thinking clearly. He's not. So, and that's, Kirk beats him. Kirk beats him because he didn't think about something, but even Spock warns him. He could have changed it. He's very, very intelligent. So he knows about it. We know that he knows about the code. He's just not, Kirk's got him twisted and he's not thinking about it.
Let's have it. Punch up the data charts of Reliance Command Console.
Reliance Command?
45 seconds. The prefix code. That's all we've got.
That's genius. That's freaking genius.
Because I think every sci-fi fan, every time I watch this movie and they get to this scene, I always just think to myself, it's so good. Like I just always, I don't know. When you hit when there's the home run, it never stops pleasing you. And that's why it's so good. It's the hunkest junk in the galaxy line about the Falcon. It never stops pleasing me. There's little things that when they're just done that well, I'm just good. And it's this scene. I think I played this scene twice today. The attack sequence and then the shields coming down and the fight back. I think I played this twice. I paused it and went back and did it again.
Where's the override? The override! Yeah,
they're not responding. Yeah, it's just there's so and the subtleties, right? We don't have to see anything special. It's just the little dots are going away. We know exactly what's happening. We're and the suspension. I mean, the suspense is building because you're seeing it go away. Oh crap! What's going to happen? They're going to get their chance. They're going to get their chance. You know what I mean? It's just so freaking good. This is. I don't know. So as a Trek fan, I'm going to pause for a moment. We'll ask Loki. He's going to be on the therapy couch. how does this rank on like your top 10 of all time kind of thing? I know that's like this impossible task to like whittle the whole movie library down to just 10. But as a Trek fan, as big as you are, does this kind of get at least close
No,
to
this
that
is this is in the very top, probably the top 3, because it's not just a battle. The Enterprise is on its knees. They have fallen. They have been beaten.
Yeah, it's over.
And Kirk's going to beat the no-win scenario. And it's not just, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of my hat. It's, I know exactly how, now that I know what position I'm in, I know exactly how to get out of it. We're going to drop Reliant shields. We're going to make them as vulnerable as we were in the beginning of this. And we're going to use every bit of the last energy we have to try and even the score and even the odds and put them in the same position we're in. It's not about getting a win. It's about being on an even playing field and getting out of there. And that's exactly what they do. And it's beautiful. This is military. This is not just another battle. This is very, very, very military. This will shape Starfleet and shape Star Trek for the future.
Absolutely. And Steven Ransom says it just makes me cry thinking about how good we could have it with this kind of Star Wars, Star Trek writing. Yeah. Well, first off, let me say this. I'm not sure there are writers to this level anymore. Like this. Yeah. Anyway, and Dave Bob says one of my top 3 sci-fis of all time. Yeah. It's tough not to like give it, yeah. Smart.
I mean, it's up there as one of the best movies of all time, period.
That's what I asked Loki. He's like, where do you put it as a sci-fi fan? And for him, especially because he's a diehard Trek fan, you have to kind of put it near the top. Like, because I'm rewatching it so many times, and I'm going to say something that's almost blasphemous as a Star Wars fan. In some ways, it's a better script than Star Wars and Empire. It really is. I'm sorry to be even just being honest. Like, there's no time wasted in this screenplay. There's the amount of story arcs that we have and character developments that we have and all the things that are happening, a twist ending, a shockingly twist ending that emotionally tears at your heartstrings, even to this day. I mean, that's some next level stuff. That really,
Pops,
really
it's not blasphemous. This is why you get the Star Wars, Star Trek argument. This is where the Star Trek, Star Wars argument was birthed, is this movie, Empire, Star Wars versus Star Trek, because Star Wars was movies. Star Wars was movies. You had the Star Trek series before Star Wars, but it wasn't until the movies came out that it was like, all right, we're going to argue. We're going to go head to head. We're going to have this argument about the Star Wars trilogy versus what is the Star Trek trilogy. This movie ranks up there with Empire. It's in my top 3. I don't know where I'd put it in my top 3, but yeah.
You've been chatting a bit with me enough times to know I'm just such a nerd when it comes to writing and screenplays and like the set design, all those elements that don't get a lot of buzz and that kind of thing. Dave Bob saying I'm OG Trek and then Star Wars second. Yeah, I'm like reverse, but it's because I was movie first. And it was like, I actually, to be honest, in hindsight, and you guys have made me think about this a lot because you've talked a lot of Trek on your show, Loki, and other folks too. And that is that I almost took Trek for granted because I grew up watching it on TV. Like it was almost like just something that was there. It wasn't as special as seeing Star Wars in the theater. I know that's almost a weird thing to kind of explain, but it's kind of how it felt. Like there's just something awe about Star Wars for me, whereas because this movie this is in that sort of next level. So anyway,
you mentioned that I got to see Best of Both Worlds in the theater. But right before it came out on Blu-ray, they had that special theatrical release. I think it was 2 nights only. You could go see Best of Both Worlds in the theater. It is a different experience seeing that in a movie theater. It's just different. And it's
Fathom Events doesn't get enough promotion, and we have to figure out a way. I feel like we have to keep working hard as YouTubers and content creators, everyone, so we can continue to pressure Fathom Event, turn out for their stuff, get them some money, and they can do things to continue to bring stuff back to theaters, since they appear to be the only ones motivated to do so. Because these people are nuts, and they don't understand that you can get whole new fans if families would just come and take their families out for con. So I'm going to try to take everybody. I'm going to try to tell my wife, we are going to go see con. You don't want to come, that's fine. I'm going to ask my daughter, the boyfriend, ask my son, the wife, just who wants to come? I'll pay the expensive ticket to come because I'm making fans.
I don't want to like to over promote the Valhalla-con thing we're doing in October. We are renting a theater to see a movie, and I'm hoping, since this isn't too far off from that we can get a Star Trek movie. I'm hoping we can get Wrath of Khan, something like that for Dallas. We will be renting out a whole screen though, so we'll have a whole theater to ourselves for a movie that's already confirmed. I just hope we can get a Star Trek movie, or even a Star Wars movie. I would deal with that.
I just hope you're not wishing this on a monkey's paw, because you might wind up with only JJ Trek movies.
Oh no! I won't do JJ Trek. We'll watch something else before we watch JJ Trek.
Yeah, I'm with you there too.
To be fair though, it does kind of sound like a fun idea to have a whole room of people hate watch a movie.
Huh. I hadn't thought of that.
But the problem is I can't record our hate watch. Like the hate watch is fun because we get to have fun hate watching it together to sort of like document it. And I always kind of lecture that part of my motivation is the YouTubing thing is I feel like I'm talking to someone 10 years from now. Like hopefully the videos stay up long enough, and I'm talking to some 20-year-old in college now going, man, this is good or this is bad. That's who we're talking to. We're not just talking to the people today, the people in chat today. We're talking to people that are years away from us now. So,
well, I'm also reminded of just kind of the stories people would try to say of, oh, everyone hated Empire Strikes Back when it came out at first, or all the like sort of revisionist history people try to say about these things. And
sure,
I think there's certainly a value to being able to get the thoughts of people who either are just seeing it fresh for the first time. I mean, I think everyone loves to watch on YouTube those videos of like someone's first time reacting to something. Like,
yeah,
to be able to go and watch someone's first time reacting to see, Vader, telling Luke, I am.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
There was a vocal group that thought that the Ewoks represented the Viet Cong. And that Lucas put teach everybody a lesson, but it wasn't that they hated the movie. And they can try and talk shit about Empire. The big thing though comes from Return of the Jedi, because there was people that tried to say, well, the only reason Lucas threw the teddy bears in there was for little kids and to teach us all that the Viet Cong weren't bad guys.
Well, and the irony was, as like an OG fan being 12 when that movie came out, it was like, no, he said that they were going to do Wookiees and he couldn't afford to do Wookiees, so they just did little Wookiees, and that's what we got. And the midgets were in the suits. Like, we were never really that phased. And when all the other crazy stuff and theories came out, we were like, oh, you guys are morons. That's kind of how we felt. We were already diehard OG fans. So anyway. It's weird how these things will kind of peak. But like you were saying, Ironcaster, earlier, I think that what goes back to Tremors, right? Because last week we talked about Tremors and how it was a box office kind of, they made a little bit of money, but they didn't really make a profit, really. But it was the VHS thing. It was the cult thing. It was the family experience. And Loki, you were talking about you're watching with your dad. Capturing all of this for posterity's sakes is just, I think, what's very, very important and kind of forgotten sometimes. All right, to folks, I don't know if I've gotten through all the chats. Let me get film because we got to keep going. So yeah, this just turns into just an amazing sequence. Just really love it. Really enjoy how it plays out, and then you get into the realism of it all. Of someone standing there and being face to face with death. Like we don't get a lot of that in some of the sci-fi films of that era and that time. Oh man, I hate this. Must be getting seen now. I'm caught with my pants down. I love it. Oh, britches. He says britches.
Mr. Savick, you go right on quoting regulations. Meantime, let's find out.
I love it because not everybody says britches like I do. I feel better.
How badly you've been hurt.
It's just so good. It's so good.
You're seeing there more of Kirk is saying he feels ancient. He's still in that mindset of feeling old, but it's like once you actually get him on planet with the Genesis device, getting to meet David, that's where it changes for him.
Yeah. I love the actor that talks about this, and he was like, I guess he was in makeup and stuff for like 6 to 8 hours. Like he was getting cranky and uncomfortable and stuff like that. It's like he's in this, but at the end of the day, he has an actual story arc. So imagine being a guy who thinks he's just going to be an extra. Then this happens. You're kind of miserable going through the motions, and then when you see the final product, you're never going to be forgotten. He was doing cons, and he was in a. It's not even a decent sized con like a mega con would be, which is a big one in Orlando. This was one called Lakeland. Like an expo. It's like one of these little tiny ones, and he was there. So that's kind of how I know that story. At least a little bit of that story. I'm sure that you guys probably know more than I would. But that was my little experience knowing that kind of thing. So, yeah, people are just agreeing with a lot of the comments that we've made. Folks just talking about that. Dave, I was talking about it's just written by someone who cared, studied the TOS, and it's just a labor of love. And, yes, and then I love the old ILM models, the slow panning shots of the ship. Ship porn. You really get a sense of scale and grandeur. New movies are too quickly cut. Yeah.
I mean,
they're trying to make it an action
movies,
sequence, and it's just not.
For modern movies, it's with them. It's all about the characters. But with Star Trek, the ship was a character. It was. I mean, Kirk has said it's a beautiful woman, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I think this sets up consequence, right? So someone can die. People actually die. It's it's really one of these subtleties that's done well. I don't want to get too far away from the scene because I want to capture the moment because I think it's the little things. It's giving you the word, and he dies, and when he passes and he falls back, he leaves the blood stain on Kirk's uniform. Like, this is very powerful imagery that stays in many, many scenes for a minute because the audience needs to be reminded that there's like high stakes. We have inexperienced crew. The ship has been destroyed. Khan's still out there. It's crazy. And then basically we're going to go down. We're going to go down to investigate what's going on. So the story moves pretty quickly.
Jim,
this was a very interesting part.
be careful.
We will.
We get the joke and the eyebrow, but the idea that he would actually say be careful, again, I go back to the script, like it's just setting up this depth of their friendship that I don't want to say it's not covered. I mean, am I overanalyzing Loki? I don't think I am, but do you think I'm? You see
no, and Shatner had no idea that he was going to come back. Leonard Nimoy knew he was going to come back. Nicholas Meyer knew he was going to come back. He had already agreed, as long as I get to direct, I will come back for the next movie. But Shatner had absolutely no idea when they finished filming that Spock was going to come back. The whole Genesis scene with the torpedo, and he was extremely pissed off at Nimoy for years because he had no clue. So it's like, and Nimoy told him, do not tell Shatner. Do not tell Shatner anything, because they wanted Shatner to give it everything, like he had lost his friend, like that friendship was gone, and that he was reborn because of the fire of what happened with Khan. Everything about their friendship in this movie is dead on and perfect. They're brothers. They are truly brothers. All this shit about, the Kirk and Spock had some secret relationship, bullshit. They were brothers. They were family. They were family on that ship, and everything about this movie shows that.
So the screenwriter's name is Jack Sowards. Is that how you say his name, or Sowards? Do you guys know?
I think it's Sowards.
Sowards, and he only did like an episode of TNG. Doesn't have a long resume, not a lot of information. Passed away in 2007. He did some other stuff, but very nominal things compared to this. It's just this crazy thing. This script is so good. And the fact that Nimoy, who didn't really want to do all of this and just wanted to be killed off, loved it all so much that he's like, I'm good. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So
as long as I get to direct the next movie, as long as I get to direct, I'm in. Yeah. That was his one condition. Let me direct the movie.
I love the fact that we have a very sort of closed film. Like, there's not a lot of sets per se, but they do a good job. And again, Ironcaster, you and I really got into this with Halo a lot about like the design of the sets and feeling you're in different places and like that. The way they did regular one, look at the attention to detail in the background. Yeah, we have generic sci-fi stuff, but look at how much of it we have. Different colored lights, different shapes of objects layered on top of one another. Look at how Ironcaster, speak how dynamic that looks compared to the generic sci-fi crap that we got in watching some of these other new shows.
Yeah, none of it feels generic. It all feels like it's there for a purpose. Like it's not just something to hold a beaker. Like no, that's equipment meant to like detect and read for things and sense things and giving them readouts. Like there is a purpose to it all.
Yep. So this is them figuring out that they've beamed somewhere else. They're going to go ahead and follow wherever they went, and that's where they're going to go. Khan is monitoring the transmission back to Spock. And then, of course, there's the big betrayal right here because they're basically got the earworms.
Yep.
And yeah, we got to kill the worm. Oh, that's right. If we had suicide, the sound. That's great. Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest. When I remember seeing this, and even a couple times I saw it later on, I thought to myself about how uneasy everything made me feel. It kept making me feel uneasy. Like I don't quite understand the worms and whatever. I'm just constantly creeped out about it all. And there's mind control happening and whatever. And yeah, I don't know. Scott Westbrook's here. Hey Scott, thanks for hopping in, man. That's awesome.
What's up, Scott?
Hello.
But we get different locations. But look at the again, we don't have much to work with. We got to keep our budget under control. But they at least try to put different colors, different dynamics, different things like that in this little set. So I loved it, man. It's so good. And then
it looks like just a little corner they would have just stacked up some of the extra storage pieces into.
Yeah. Then we get the scene.
I don't have worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you.
It's so good. It's so good. And then we get to probably Loki's, like, one of Loki's most quoted things ever, right? I mean,
Right.
Isn't it? I think it's got to rank up there, right? I think it's got to rank up there.
Buried alive.
Loki! Is that the scene we're talking about? I think that might be.
Yes.
I think that might be.
Buried alive. Yes.
Eventually we're going to have enough clips to make a full movie.
Well, okay. So I don't know about you guys in the chat. You guys think are crazy. Tell us when you like and dislike things. So I kind of envision this as continuing to be, and I told Loki, it's like, for me, I'm like the dreamer and the planner, but it's almost like practical, staircase ladder steps. I look at this as almost like the real BBC thing. I have no money for it. I am no Perry Chan, but if any of you guys want to help us make clips or do what face swaps and stuff, so I'd be more than happy to take them because I love the real BBC and Friday Night Tights and these guys that have that sort of little pieces of it. I could see us. So the dream was I would get this clip done fast enough. Get it. I have a friend somebody who helped me do it a little bit. I thought I could get one where the mouth would move, but it didn't work out that way, and they would want money to do that kind of stuff. But I had the one at the end. Ironcaster would be Kirk looking at Spock, which would be either me or Loki, when he goes, "I thought you were dead." I thought that would be a funny one to do. But anyway, it's also a time constraint, so we're kind of making some of this on the fly.
I wonder if I could start just like requesting things in the chat. Like, I don't know, could we get Loki's face on the poster for Zardos?
Yeah, so we'll share some stuff. I have another surprise I haven't shared with anybody. I see we get to it tonight, and if not, we'll do it another time. So, let's see. So yeah, just truly.
I shall leave you as you left me, as you left her.
Kirk's story here is so good because in the end of the day, correct me where I'm wrong, and again, he knows the Enterprise is out there and being repaired. So isn't he just acting and pretending? Like, isn't he putting on the thing to fool Khan? Like, this is the moment, right? This is the key moment. He has to pull this off in order to fool Khan. Otherwise, it was all for naught. Correct?
Correct.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right about that.
It's a weird
honestly,
thing to think about. Once it clicks, it's like hard to unsee it that way.
I was honestly, every time I've watched, I'm just so engrossed in the moment that I forget all about the ship being repaired. That I'm just so caught up in here's Khan like giving essentially this farewell speech to him.
Yeah, because you're lost in the moment, and you feel like it's totally to fool the audience. But at the end of the day, when you watch it again and again and again, you start to realize, wait a minute, Shatner's Kirk is pretending to fool Khan. Yeah, there you go, Loki. Ready?
Oh yeah. Buried alive. Buried alive.
It's so good. It's so good. And then we're just going to sit around for a minute because the audience needs a moment. The audience needs a moment. And this is where Hollywood really can't get these scenes right. Talk about just the brilliance of filmmaking is you got to take a breath, people. We just stressed everybody out thinking they're dead in the middle of a planet and all the stuff. Khan got away. You got to have a moment. But we don't waste time talking about the food or whatever. We have a moment where Kirk's talking about getting old, not having a family. And then, Carol ultimately talks about the Genesis Project and they realize, oh my gosh, this is not what we thought. This is a freaking Garden of Eden. And it's just brilliant stuff that moves the story right along. And then we get to the big twist where, the hours or days.
I love how they have to climb through the Jeffries tubes. They have to go up the ladders. They have to use the Jeffries tube to get through the ship because
nothing works.
Nothing works. Everything's still screwed. And Spock has to tell him, it's the best we could do in 2 hours. So they don't work below, I think he said C deck or something.
Yes.
Turbo lifts don't work. So you got to go up the Jeffries tube ladders. I love that. I love how they had to climb through the ship. That was always one of my favorite. Let's climb through the ship as fast as we can to get to the bridge to fight Khan.
It's awesome stuff. Let's see what we got here that happened. I think they're laughing at our clip.
You did good.
I did all right. Pops 2, The Wrath of Loki. That could be a fun little sequence to put together. Pops 2, The Wrath of Loki. That's pretty fun. Oh, that's good. We have a show coming up.
Me and I will have him.
I have an appearance come up on Loki's show soon, so I'll figure something out. We could have some fun with that. So, yeah, leave the analysis we get later. He was fooling, Dave Bob. It was really, when you think of it, you're like, man, that's good. That's really, really heavy, really heavy. Joker's, playing possum, and Ironcaster. Look, we got somebody. Tweet the results, baby. Absolutely, let's do it. Let's raise this up.
I'm hitting that refresh.
Let's raise this up. All right, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
So I feel like it's once we get to this scene there with them in the cave, before the Jeffrey tubes here. That's where the flip is. That's where he gets that sort of vigor of the younger Kirk, where he's able to be the younger man again. He's able to get out of just acting like this antique.
Yes. I agree with that. I totally agree with that, Ironcaster.
Myself muted. Sorry, I left myself muted. 2 things, right? He is David, right? So he has something to live for. Then 2, he's back in his element, right? Because he's a wartime captain, right? This is the argument, Kirk versus Picard. I'm like, they're apples and oranges. They're not fair because you've got wartime captain versus diplomatic captain. Each have their moments to have to play the other role, but one is more primarily suited than the other. And I think this is where Kirk's in his own element. He's like, I'm ready for you. I've got the upper hand on Khan now. He's got a little bit of that, swagger. He deserves it. They've pulled it off. I think they've got him duped. So then you have some great prep, which I think is always good for the audience. Like we get little details. We get little elements of the ship. We get little elements of the crew running around doing things. I actually love all this. I thought this was really, really. I have no idea what the people are carrying. By the way, oh, this guy's got this great device-looking thing with this hose hanging off of it. Like, what is this thing?
It's not. I'm just disappointed it's not someone running around in the background with an ice cream maker like on Cloud City.
Oh yeah, I have to see that. I'd have to see that. That'd be pretty fun.
Oh yeah, there's just a guy running around with an ice cream maker.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty great stuff. It's really good stuff. And then we're in. We have the red light. We have all the danger stuff going on. David and Carol join them on the bridge. And then we are officially in the nebula.
But he pulls Khan into the nebula. Again, he's like, come at me. Come and get me. I'm what you wanted. And he pulls him in. And Khan rushes in again, just like he did at the beginning of the movie. He does not have any patience when it comes to Kirk. And that's why he loses. He didn't think about the command code. He didn't think about Kirk having access to that. And then Kirk pulls him into that nebula when Khan clearly has the advantage, ship to ship.
Yep.
He gets pulled in there with Kirk because he just can't stop.
Yes. I'm laughing. I love it. I'm laughing at the superior intellect. Oh, it's brilliant. It's freaking great, man.
Perfect.
It's so good. And then the nebula stuff is just gold. And then, of course, the fight breaks out. Khan's losing. He shouldn't be losing, but he is. These scenes are going to be redone in 4K. Wow. I can't wait.
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't wait for that.
I wish I could. I wish we could meet in the middle. I don't know what the middle would be, like Alabama or Mississippi. I don't know where it would be. We meet in the middle somewhere. It's good. So good.
Kentucky.
Maybe is that the triangle? We'd have to go that far north. I don't know.
Well, because like I'm way up in Michigan, so I'd have to come considerably south, and Kentucky seems like a good midway point.
Taunting
Tennessee
as a
National.
war strategy. Fantastic stuff. Yes, War Monkey. Taunting is so good. It's so good. Yeah, I don't know. Can really be outdone. The idea of seeing fly in 4 dimensions, seeing I'm not just behind, I'm above, I'm beyond, pieces flying off. Oh, I loved all of this stuff. I don't know that I had a Reliant, but if I had, I would have torn the little piece off, so I could have blown it off in a battle. So,
did you ever play any of the PC games? Either one of you play any of the original PC games like Starfleet Academy or anything?
Actually, I was just looking at those on GOG today. Actually.
Okay, I grew up playing. I mean, I was like, when those came out, I had them on CD. I grew up playing that and Klingon Academy. That was one of the best things you could do in those games, was when you were in a fight with another ship, blowing a nacelle off, blowing a wing off on a Klingon bird of prey, blowing a part of the shit up. You would have gotten none of that if it wasn't for this movie. That's just, yes, that nacelle coming off is just gold.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just all so good, and to see just the death and the dismay and all that. So let's let
even in death he's got to be
himself.
So poetic.
Moby Dick. Quote Moby Dick.
That's right.
It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna set it off. We're gonna detonate it all. The music, the movement,
the score,
slow,
yes,
methodical. That music's just booming. And Spock's gonna save the day, and it's just, we don't get anything sort of like spoon-fed to us as they jet away. Like, we don't really even know. We know the audience knows more than the character now, which is it constantly flips in the film sometimes. And then, of course, the climactic end. Oh, I think I went too far. Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, he's racing down. That's right. Okay. I love that shot, by the way. Something different, right? Just going to go down the stairs that way. I don't know if there's ever been a story of explaining who told him to do it that way or not, but I loved it.
Well, when you're on so there are slanted ladders in a nuclear submarine. You want to have a ladder that goes straight down, but they'll be slanted, and literally they will. If you were in a rush, if you are like boom, 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 go, go, go now, you will slide down that slanted ladder just like that. You put your feet on both sides, and you'll just slide down it, and then boom, you're gone. You're screaming, make a hole, and you gotta go. That's how you do it. Exactly the way he did it. Again, another military thing. They didn't do that just for funsies.
Yeah, the emotional jarring of him walking into the glass. He straightens his uniform. I mean, just everything about it. His first question is that the ship's okay. Like, just everything about it is just so selfless and so emotionally jarring. And yeah, just. Yeah, so good. So good.
Has to be one of the most emotional scenes in sci-fi history.
He stumbles towards the door, but he can't even see it.
Yeah, when he runs into it, and he straightens up for a minute.
Yep. They don't waste no time just tearing you up even further. Like, they just don't waste any time going right to a funeral. Putting him in a torpedo, playing the freaking bagpipes, ripping Amazing Grace. Stupid Star Trek makes me cry. Because it works every time. It works every time. I don't know. I don't know what to say. So, I don't know. It was, it's so good. Let's wrap up. So we have sort of like the epilogue of the story and that kind of thing.
One little thing about this scene I really appreciate. It's in when you're seeing Spock, you're seeing the coffin shut off. The focus is on the coffin. You're not getting as much of like the actors themselves. Like, you're not getting the slow pan over how Sulu's reacting, how Chekhov's reacting, no, you're not getting any of that. At most, you get during it, you get a brief glimpse of Kirstie Alley tearing up.
Yep.
But the focus is Spock. The coffin of Spock, and it's all about that. And they really let the moment just soak in without cutting away to any other actor, because this is all about Spock. And that's something you wouldn't see modern movies doing. No, that you'd have the slow pan across to have the actors showing how they're all feeling. And I think it's one of the big strengths of this scene in particular, especially because you don't need the actors to tell you how to feel in here, because you're so attached to Spock as a character, you're already feeling it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's brilliant.
Absolutely. War Monkey says he doesn't think most actors can slide down that ladder like that. You're probably right. You're probably right. Classic scene. Yeah, Dave Bob. I'm with you, man. It's in Chris versus Who Cut the Onions. Yeah. Yes. He was the most human. And then let the tears go. Let the tears go. It is so freaking good. This movie is 40 years, guys. Golly. 40 years. I'm going to call my mom when we're done, just to check in with her and tell her we were watching this and I was sharing the stories, because that'll make her smile, that kind of thing. So, what else? Any other thoughts did you guys want to add real quick before we kind of wrap up Wrath of Khan? It's so good.
Peak Star Trek. This is peak Star Trek. This is the best Star Trek movie they ever made. It doesn't get better than this. The way Kirk, I think someone said it before, the way he was taunting him, that's all Sun Tzu. That's all Art of War. When your opponent is of irregular temper, excite him and make him make mistakes. Kirk played him. As soon as Kirk knew who he was dealing with and what he was dealing with, he really started coming back and taking Khan on directly. You want this to be personal. You want to act like I did all this stuff to you. He played into that. Everything's perfect. Nimoy's death as Spock. The fact that they kept it from William Shatner so that he'd be that emotional, so that he would think I've got to throw everything in this because I've lost my best friend and this is going to be the last movie. This is going to be the last movie, so I have to give it my all. And then they're like, oh, but we're doing another one. Well, we can't do another one without you. Oh, well, he's going to come back and we're going to direct it and we're going to call it The Search for Spock. And you hear all this stuff and all these stories and how Shatner he was throwing things in the room he was in with Nick and everybody. And it's perfect. It's perfect Star Trek. It's the perfect story. They did it perfect. You don't get shit like this anymore. You just don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Ironcaster?
Yes.
I have to say I've watched this movie now 4 times in this calendar year, and I know that's kind of crazy to think about. I didn't realize until I started thinking about it. Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I'm downloading the photos that Stephen Ransom did for us, and oh my goodness, you're not gonna believe these photos. So I'm just trying to make sure they download.
So
I'm getting ready to open them. I'm getting ready to open them. Boy, oh boy. I don't even know what to say. This is insane, Steven. This is insane. Let's see. Just open there. Let's see if it'll open. Yeah. Oh, geez. Come on. Stupid freaking computer, man.
So,
it's fine. I can open. I'm going to share it just like this.
I think Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is frankly one of the best science fiction movies ever made. It's, if not one of the best movies made, period.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely up there.
Wow. No, thank you.
Wow, it's right.
Wow.
That is the stuff right there.
Wow.
So yeah, let's that's one of them.
Wow.
That was one. Let me get the other one.
Oh, there's more.
Oh yeah, that's actually the crazy one. The other one I think is even I don't know. I think this is probably I think this is more in terms of what I thought he was going to do for us, but there's that's just me. It won't open. Freaking oh jeez Louise. Sorry guys. Boomering away like a boomer. All right. What so I'm doing that. What is the second favorite Trek film for each of you? Do you have like a 2 and 3 kind of, I mean, is it kind of like the how do you kind of rank the next ones, or kind of what do you think?
2, 3, and 4, I think, are the best movies. I really like Search for Spock. Some people say they don't. The whole scene of him stealing the Enterprise, when they steal the Enterprise, that's like one of my favorite scenes in Star Trek history. Is them, sir, someone's stealing the Enterprise. I'm on my way. And then, transwarp drive fails, and it's like, good morning, Captain. And Scotty's the one who's submarine the Excelsior. I loved that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it may be a rush job, Steven. My goodness.
Oh, you have
my goodness.
Absolutely.
That's freaking awesome. That's an underrated gift you have, my friend, and a disturbing one, I will completely admit.
You must promise us you only use your talents for good and not evil.
Yes. Well, we may not be able to control that, now that we're stepping out like this and doing our thing. So people are heading out, Joker voice leaving, that kind of thing. You guys all take care. If you got to bail out, I totally understand. So, yeah, there's our talk hard. Give it to you like it, giving you real. That's what we want to mean by this, man. It's been great. And yeah, Dave Bob's agreeing 2, 3, and 4. It's like the trilogy in there. So yeah.
See, I'm actually not as big on Star Trek 4. Like I've seen it before, but it's just the time travel has always been something I've never really cared for as a story element. So honestly, movies like Back to the Future aren't as high up on my list. Like they're good, I don't care for them as much. So I'd probably say maybe
Steven
Star
wants
Trek 6.
permissions to throw
Yes,
that. Of course.
yes,
yes. We are all going to agree that we got to do it. Yeah.
Have you ever watched them making the making of 4 Ironcaster? No. You should. I want to tell you something. There was this the whole scene at the end when they're in the crashed bird of prey in the water in San Francisco Bay. All of that with the whales and everything. There was this movie they did that was had a huge water thing in it a long time ago. We're talking like in the 60s at Paramount. It was the 50s or the 60s, and it was this big water scene where they had like a naval battle, and Paramount buried that set. They buried it in concrete and made a parking lot out of it. They literally dug that fucker up. Sorry, Pops. They dug that effer up for that scene at the end of Voyage Home. Watch the making of that movie. It is one of the most interesting makings of you will ever see. Some of the stuff that happens in that movie was completely unscripted. They were out in public. Things happened that they didn't expect to happen. They caught it on film. The chick that's like, oh, I think it's across the bay in Alameda. They had to chase that chick down. They spent like 20 minutes trying to chase her down because she wasn't in the movie and she hadn't signed anything for the movie. So they literally had to chase her down and get her to signed. Get a waiver signed to be in the movie. Trust me, dude, the making of that is one of the best makings of a Star Trek movie you'll ever watch.
I don't think I've ever seen it either. If I have, it's been so long, I don't remember all these details. That's great to know. That's awesome. Dave Bob likes time travel, and he says, but if it's done right. And there's not a lot that's been done. We could do a show on time travel, positive and negatives on that kind of thing. So,
all the time in the world.
Yes. So yeah, next week, Wednesday, not Tuesday, we'll be doing The Thing. So that'll be fun. Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Also worth pointing out, next month for Fathom Events is The Thing.
Yeah, they're a month behind on getting that in theaters, but they're getting it in theaters. So yeah, it'll be out there. We'll get you the dates and information on that next week on Wednesday night, so you'll know how to get your tickets and support that. Tomorrow night I will be doing a Pops Talk News panel, that kind of thing. So I got Mags back with me. Pacific 414 is confirmed, and thought I had Orville Nation locked down. Didn't work out. So I'll try to have some folks on, talk about a couple of different little rando stories and those kinds of things. So yeah, busy times as always. And then I'll be over on I got Papa Pacelli this week. I'm gonna be on Loki and Wakazashi Tea House again next week, that kind of thing. So, Loki, besides your normal routine, anything on the plate for Mornings of Mischief and places Loki will be popping up?
I will be in Dallas Thursday for the FNT meetup. I wasn't sure if I was going to go, but I'm pretty much locked in now, so I will be there. I know Dave Bob's going to be there. Snowdub's going to be there. Culture Casino's going to be there. There's going to be a bunch of people there that we're all going to be hanging out. We're all going to be chilling in Dallas Thursday night, but I'll be coming back right after that. So I'll be back Friday for Mornings of Mischief. We just won't do a Thursday night show that night. I'll have a pre-record of me and Adega doing something for Thursday night.
All right. Wednesday is Ryan's birthday, so we're doing a birthday stream with Ryan. All right.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Ironcaster, you went back at it this week. The Gundam stream, man. It's fun stuff, man. It's good to see you doing your thing. You're in your element. You can see the joy in your face. You have a catchphrase very early in the video where you say, find good stuff and make the most of it.
Yes.
It's Ironcaster's motto. It's literally the motto. That's your shirts. Find good things and make the most. Find good stuff. I think it says stuff. Find good stuff and make the most.
Put that on a t-shirt now.
It sounds great, man. I love it. Little toy, little action figure or something there. Find some sort of little copy-free thing, or get your freaking Steven Ranson to put your face on an action figure. That's what I want to see. Yes. So, yes, it's awesome. That's great stuff, guys. Thank you so much for being with us and talking hard and doing some fun stuff. So, is Ironcaster going to be another stream this week? You're going to lock it in?
Yes. We'll be going on Thursday to get another episode of Gundam in. And we've got about 4 of that left, and then I'm going to figure out what to do next. Maybe get into the other side series, but maybe we'll find something else. I'm still kind of putting feelers out and deciding what to cover next.
Awesome. Chris Persia's rocking our chat. Thank you so much, Chris. You've just been so awesome as our mod. He's got the links there so you can connect to Loki, Ironcaster if you're not, both on YouTube and Twitter. War Monkey says it's been great. Thank you so much for hanging with us. So many of you folks in chat, you've just made this such a blessing, that kind of thing. We're just having a blast doing this, hanging out with each other, doing stuff that we want to do with you guys. After the thing, we talked about a couple things just randomly, and we'll try to lock that in. So give you guys a heads up on what we're going to do. And with that, we'll say thank you. So thought instead of doing a chill time, I'd just take you out with a little Eric July love. A little Eric July.
Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing.